In the small, picturesque village of Ashwood, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, life moved at a slow and peaceful pace. The villagers were simple folk, content with their routines and traditions. But one story had haunted Ashwood for generations, the tale of the gardener's ghost. It was said that decades ago, a young gardener named Thomas had worked at the grand Ashwood Manor. Thomas was known for his skill with plants. He could make even the most stubborn flowers bloom. But he was also known for his tragic love affair with Lady Eleanor, the daughter of the manor's owner. When their secret relationship was discovered, Thomas was banished from the estate. Heartbroken, he disappeared into the woods, never to be seen again. Rumors spread that Thomas had died in the forest, and his ghost now roamed the manor's gardens, forever searching for his lost love. The villagers whispered that if you walked past the gardens at night, you could hear the faint sound of weeping and see a shadowy figure among the roses. For years, the story remained just that, a story. But one summer evening, strange things began to happen at Ashwood Manor. The new gardener, a young man named Henry, reported hearing footsteps in the garden after dark. The roses Thomas had planted decades ago, which had long since stopped blooming, suddenly burst into life overnight. And then, one morning, Lady Eleanor's portrait in the manor's hallway was found slashed, as if by a pair of garden shears. The villagers were terrified, and the owner of the manor, Mr. Charles Ashwood, decided it was time to uncover the truth. He called upon Detective Clara Hayes, a sharp and logical investigator who had solved many mysteries in the nearby city. Clara was skeptical of ghost stories, but the strange occurrences at Ashwood Manor piqued her curiosity. When Clara arrived at the manor, she was struck by its beauty and its eerie atmosphere. The gardens were lush and vibrant, but there was an unnatural stillness in the air. Mr. Ashwood led her to the slashed portrait of Lady Eleanor and explained the legend of the gardener's ghost. Claire began her investigation by interviewing Henry, the gardener. He was a nervous young man, clearly shaken by what he had experienced. "I swear, I heard footsteps last night," he said. "And when I went to check, I saw a figure standing by the roses. But when I got closer, it was gone." Next, Claire examined the garden. The roses were indeed in full bloom. As she walked among the flowers, she noticed something odd, a patch of freshly turned soil near the garden's edge. Digging into it, she found a rusted pair of garden shears, the same kind Thomas was said to have used. That night, Claire decided to stay in the garden to see if she could witness the ghostly activity for herself. As the moon rose high in the sky, she heard the faint sound of weeping. She followed the sound to the rose bushes, where she saw a shadowy figure crouched among the flowers. But as she approached, the figure vanished, leaving behind a single red rose on the ground. Claire picked up the rose and examined it. Tied to its stem was a small, faded ribbon. She recognized it as the kind used in old-fashioned love letters. Realizing this was no ordinary ghost story, Claire began to piece together the clues. The next day, she visited the village historian, an elderly woman named Mrs. Thompson. Mrs. Thompson revealed that Thomas and Lady Eleanor had secretly exchanged letters, tied with ribbons, just like the one Clara had found. She also mentioned that Thomas had been deeply devoted to Eleanor and would have done anything to protect her. Clara returned to the manor and confronted Mr. Ashwood with her findings. "This isn't the work of a ghost," she said. "Someone is using the legend of the gardener's ghost to cover up their crimes. The slashed portrait, the footsteps, the roses, it's all a distraction." Mr. Ashwood confessed. He had discovered a hidden compartment in Lady Eleanor's old desk containing letters from Thomas. Fearing the scandal would tarnish the family's reputation, He had staged the ghostly events to scare people away from the manor. The freshly turned soil and the garden shears were part of his plan. With the mystery solved, the villagers of Ashwood could finally rest easy. But Clara couldn't shake the feeling that Thomas's spirit might still linger in the garden, watching over the roses he had loved so dearly. As for the legend of the gardener's ghost, it lived on not as a tale of fear, but as a story of love and devotion that transcended even death.